Now it's time for Media Watch. Emma James joins me here in the studio. Good evening to you, Emma. So one of our top stories actually is a headline story. Germany and the German Chancellor, more to the point, giving the green light for prosecutors to pursue criminal charges against a comedian who insulted the Turkish president. And it's got people whipped up into a frenzy because, of course, it's sparking debate about freedom of expression, really.
Indeed, it seems to be one of those things that keeps coming around at the moment, the argument of how far is too far when it comes to freedom of expression and satire in particular. This cartoon from Ausgezeichnet is typical of the kind of things that we're seeing online. Angela Merkel presenting the head of comedian Jan Böhmermann on a plate to the Turkish president. And it is rather fitting that he's looking very regal there because this is all about lèse majesté, injured majesty. Basically, it's against the law in Germany for anyone to insult foreign heads of state. It's not often used, but the German government has given the go-ahead for prosecutors to look at investigating this case and possibly prosecuting him. They've said it doesn't mean that it's anything to do with their judgment. They haven't made a particular position on this, but they're letting the prosecutors go ahead and do their job if they wish to. Now, Böhmermann's explicit poem accused Erdogan of having sex with sheep and goats, even called him a paedophile. So it was very, very extreme stuff. And he knew perfectly well that he was going beyond legal limits when he did it, because he said so at the very beginning. It was done in response to an earlier satirical song that Turkey had summoned Germany's ambassador over because it, again, was targeting Erdogan, but in much milder terms. And as The Atlantic reports here, they say that it seems Merkel agreed with Böhmermann that he had gone too far because she defended the earliest satirical song as being protected by the right to freedom of expression. But she criticised Böhmermann's poem as deliberately offensive. So very different reactions there from the German Chancellor. Lots of people posting things on Twitter like this one: freedom of press not in Germany. Other Twitter users: why did the Erdogan cross the road to prosecute the German comedian? And let's put this up at the Belgian border: Je suis Böhmermann. That, of course, a nod to Je suis Charlie, which is very relevant here because, of course, again, that was about freedom of expression. And many people feel that really Angela Merkel is being very hypocritical. Freedom of expression, vive la liberté, but not in Germany. And this Twitter user puts the image of her on that march in defence of freedom of speech in Paris in the wake of those attacks at the offices of Charlie Hebdo, the satirical magazine. And you can see there the hashtag hypocrite. For a word from an ordinary German citizen, really, on this comedian, because, of course, we haven't heard of him before now. This German blogger, Julian Wack, said that he's kind of like John Oliver, the very well-known American comedian, but without the empathy, the passion to educate, and generally the goodwill to make things better. She says he's basically someone who puts out ironic viral videos in an attempt to show that he is above everything. She accuses him of not really having strong opinions, just purely wanting to rile people up, get them upset. And anyone who attacks what he does is just too stupid to understand it, according to him. So not everyone has quite so much sympathy for him.
Okay, and you've also been looking at a rather unusual collaboration between a French musician and an American whistleblower. Tell us more.
Yes, this is a particularly peculiar story. Edward Snowden, as you know, has many admirers and also many critics. But what we didn't know until now is that one of his biggest fans is the 80s pop icon here in France, at any rate, Jean-Michel Jarre. And now the pair have actually worked together creating a track called Exit, which will be released this weekend. And the Guardian website carries this promotional video, which gives us a bit of a teaser of what we can expect from it.
Hi, my name's Edward Snowden.
Okay, the rather improbable duo there, Edward Snowden and Jean-Michel Jarre.
It is very odd. Now, Snowden won't be singing, I hasten to add. He will be speaking. And we understand that the song is going to be similar to that backing track that we heard there, and it will include spoken words. Jean-Michel Jarre carried out a series of interviews with Edward Snowden, and that is what will form the basis of his role in this. Now, taking a look at people's reactions to this, Mike.com says Snowden is about to drop a sick techno track with Jean-Michel Jarre. They say he blew the whistle on the National Security Agency. Now he wants to blow your mind. Just in case you're not familiar with the young person's vernacular, sick actually means that it is good. So they seem to quite like it. This Twitter user, though, a little more sceptical about it. Edward Snowden is about to drop a techno track so insane, no wonder he was granted asylum.
Right, blowing whistles. I like those sort of musical puns there. Just lastly, briefly, if you will, a shocking image here in France has got people very much speaking out.
Yes, and it's not normal, really, that an image of what appears to be police brutality would actually come at the end of Media Watch, because normally that's the funny bit. But despite the appearance of real brutality here on the streets of Paris, people seem to have managed to find the funny side in it. Now, what was happening here was yesterday, during protests in Paris against those proposed changes to employment law here in France, this was the scene. This girl, actually not taking part in the protest, she was sitting at a roadside cafe, was hit by tear gas, and then jumped up and went to shout at the police officers, understandably angry in that situation. And a photographer just happened to capture this moment. She was actually kicked to the floor, so it was a kick with some force and violence behind it. However, everyone seems to have really rather decided to, rather than get angry about this, actually just mock the police officer. The CRS is the equivalent of the riot police here in Paris, in France. And what people have done, the hashtag #PoseTonCRS, they've put this man in all sorts of improbable positions, here with jaws, some of them ridiculous. They're trying to kick over the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Others a little more serious, not that one, obviously, but others poking fun at politicians too. We've got them kicking over Nicolas Sarkozy and finally Francois Hollande.
Okay, a bit of a kick to your Media Watch edition this evening. Thank you very much indeed, Emma James there.